again, faithful. You've heard me say that we have had special guests. Well, there may be none more special than this gentleman who's with us today. The great Bob Pettit, 6'9", made his fame with the St. Louis Hawks. But Bob, look, I usually don't have a script, but I've got to read some of the things that you've done. 19th, second pick to the Milwaukee Hawks. I'm from Racine, Wisconsin. 1958 NBA champion, two-time NBA MVP, 11-time All-Star, 4-time All-Star MVP, 10 times All-NBA First Team, NBA Rookie of the Year, two-time NBA scoring champ, one-time NBA rebounding leader, one of the 50 greatest players, and now one of the 75th. Your number 9 is retired by the Hawks. Your number 50 is retired by LSU. You're a Hall of Famer there. And this was, the reason why I wanted to read it is because your greatness cannot be denied. And I just wanted to let you know how we feel about you.
Well, nice. Thank you very much.
And, we could talk about growing up and coming up, your country boy just like me, and how hard it was and have to have ambitions and have dreams come true. But the thing I wanted to talk about is how you see this game today based on when you played. It's a common question, but this game is different.
It's very different, and it's improved in a lot of ways. And and sometimes I like the years that I played better, and I enjoy watching it. But it's been it's a great game. The game has evolved as we watch it. When I first came in, the NBA was 8 teams in the league, and it was owned. The teams were owned by individual men who lived out of it. They didn't make their money in anything else. They were owning a franchise.
Yes.
I know I played for a man named Ben Kerner, and one year, my first year in Milwaukee, Ben after that tried to sell the team for under $100,000, as I recall, and nobody would pay it. So and he had to cut corners and make it every way that he could. Every time we had a night off somewhere, we played an exhibition game in the season. And so Kerner was, but every check he paid, every check, never missed a payment, but he struggled to make it big time. And you also had Eddie Gottlieb that owned Philadelphia,
yes,
and you had Danny Biasone who owned Syracuse, and Les Harrison who owned Rochester Royals, and that was as I recall, that was their life. They had no other source of income. It isn't like today, where the owners of today's teams made their money in something else,
yes,
and they bought a franchise. So I played with Milwaukee my first year, and we rode buses to go to the games. We rode the train. Very seldom we had a plane, a DC-3 usually, and you held your breath when you flew in those things. But but it was a great life. We didn't know any better. Yeah. I was so happy that there was not a better life than playing for the Milwaukee Hawks in the NBA.
Well, think about this. I mean, from that beginning, look at now, man. We're talking about being global. What is your perspective on that? Because you've seen it from the beginning.
It just shows how big the NBA has become.
Yes.
It is a worldwide, and I think it won't be very long before we have a team, and it looks like China would be a great follow it in England,
yes,
in London and some of that. So I think it's going to it's got a worldwide attention now, people watching it. But I think that we'll see those franchises maybe overseas sometime in the near future. Somebody asked me earlier today, what do you expect for the next 25 years? And I said, I don't know. I'm not going to be here. I don't really care. I'm not going to enjoy it. But I think that's one of the things that could possibly happen. They have franchises out of the United States and around the world. So, it's become such a big thing in the people's minds today. The media being here this week, today, and interviewing, and the interest that the media has. My first All-Star game was in New York in 1955. I don't even remember if they had any media there. I'm sure they did, but it was a different world. And it's the game has grown, the interest in the people have grown.
Yes.
They've changed as I said, that thing like the 3-point shot. It's amazing to watch him shoot from behind that line. These guys like shooting a layup. Yeah. I mean, they all look like they want to line up on that 3-point line and shoot those shots.
Just take turns.
Take turns shooting, and they make so many of them. What they make, most of the really good ones will make close to 40%.
That's right.
Of the 3-point shot. That's amazing from how far out that is. So, but it's just part of the game today, and it's growing and evolving and become bigger, and I think in most cases better. A lot of things, and the players are so much. There's so many more players today. And we had 80 players, 75 when during the regular season. Let me go back to that. I'm talking about, we were down to 8 players during the season one time. Why? Because the money. There's not having 2 salaries to pay. It helped the owners survive.
Oh, I see.
And so, then if things got better, we back up to 12, 10 players or so. Mm-hmm. So, it was, the early years were great. I wouldn't take anything for them, and it was the beginning of what has become a huge global enterprise.
Well, I just want to thank you for your time. The great Bob Pettit, way ahead of his time. When I asked Lenny Wilkins, former Cleveland Cavalier coach and player, was a teammate of Mr. Pettit's, I asked him, how good was Bob Pettit? He said, he'd make a shamble out of these guys today. 6'9.5", 6'10", 7-foot reach, could run the floor, inside, outside game. Bob, that's the game they're playing now.
Thank you,
my friend.
Thank you.